Hey YouTube, so I'm finally making the video which explains my religious history and why I changed so many religions, which earned me the name among my friends as a religious slut, but hey, I digress. Anyways, I was born as and baptized as an Episcopalian, but my mother and father raised me as a Southern Baptist evangelical, which I'm not gonna lie, I do have a lot of bitterness and anger towards evangelicalism in general, especially against the Southern Baptist Convention. And I'm trying really hard to let it go. So if you sense a lot of bitterness, please understand that. But anyways, from the beginning. I was raised to think for myself, to be a theologian, as my mother is, even though back in the degree she is very knowledgeable in the Bible, the history, the context, and I was raised to be an apologist and to teach actually in the Bible. Even though I don't know the verses themselves, I can refer to any story in the Bible and any lesson, because I was raised the whole go to church every Sunday, and then you got youth group on Wednesdays, going to Awana, doing the memorizing of the Bible verses, and just being the average church boy. All my friends and my whole life was surrounded basically by church until I moved to Colorado Springs in my 7th grade. And that's when things started changing, but it was in that atmosphere that I grew to love God, that God became an essential part of my life. To this day, I can't imagine life without God. He is that integral to me. He is part of me. He is who I define myself as. I am passionate about Him, but I'm also wanting to learn so much about Him, which is one reason why I probably went around so much trying to find out more about other religions and how they see God. But this just to say that my mother's dream of me becoming a Southern Baptist preacher in the U.S. Air Force didn't come out, especially since today I'm a Catholic and in the Navy. But anyways, it was when I was 17 years old that I started looking into the Roman Catholic Church. And one thing that led me there was actually the TV channel EWTN. Just seeing the church and how beautiful it was, I'm not gonna lie, I love the smells and bells. I like the ancientness of it. I like walking into that church and feeling like I'm surrounded by heaven, having the pictures, the statues, the smell, just the sense of holiness there. While the Baptist churches always seem to be like a concert or something, just big screens, barely anything that was Christian except probably one cross there, but it didn't have that sense of reverency that I could see in the Catholic Church, which helps focus you mind, body, and soul, and uses all your senses to focus on the Bible. So that was one thing. And also, I remember just wanting to go home and just sit and watch Mass on TV and just look and see how the Catholics practice their faith. And then, luckily, we met the Barnetts, who are currently my godparents in the Roman Catholic Church, and I started going to Mass with them. And next thing I know, I'm going to Ash Wednesday, and then I asked if I could go to RCIA, which is the classes you need to take in order to become a Catholic, because in order to become a Catholic, they want to make sure you understand the religion before you actually join it, so there's no surprises in what we believe. So I do that, but because I was 17, I had to get my mother's permission. And my mother, who didn't impede me, but questioned me, I thus had to study the theology of the Catholic Church. And being evangelical, the single most thing that evangelicals and Catholics will disagree on is Mary. And I was a little uncomfortable with the thoughts of Mary at first, but I studied. I went to this website, which I will post on my YouTube page for anyone who wants to find out what it was, that actually explained the Catholic theology and beliefs in evangelical language. And thus, because of that, I was able to see Mary as my own mother and understand her place, and I am so thankful because I'm very dependent on Mary, as well as all the other saints, for their support in my journey towards knowing God and being in friendship and great love with Him. So, moving on from that, I go to the classes and study theology, become very knowledgeable in Catholic theology, doctrine, rules, and everything, and became a Catholic in April of 2006, I believe. Yes, 2006. And from there, I began studying other religions because the ancient religions were the ones that interested Judaism, Islam, and Catholicism/Orthodox mainly. And I started looking at Islam, and one thing that attracted me was the sincerity that they had and the simplicity of the religion. It was one God, no saints, no trinity to try to understand, one holy book, the Quran, and it's no all these people, no questioning of the Quran, because you knew who it came from, you know that no one could have changed the translation because there's only one translation, and they teach everyone to learn in Arabic. And Islam, looking the history, it is actually to me was the perfect example of a lifestyle in religion. You look at countries who are Islamic, they pray, they have laws, and their whole intent is pure. So during self-study, I went to the mosque and said the Shahada, which is Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oh, no. Okay, I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. No, here it is. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And you say that 2 times to become Muslim, which I did. And thus starting studying Islamic theology and everything. And I believe that was extremely important because it taught me to see God as one, but also gave me the outlook of Christianity from the outside of why people wouldn't join Christianity. What was the problems? What are some of the apprehensions? And also a different viewpoint of God, which was amazing but also restrictive. Then I changed into what was called the Quran only kind of Muslim, because I rejected all the hadiths and sunnahs, because in my mind, if the Quran is from God and it's 100% perfect and perfected Islam, we don't need anything else to go with it because it's perfect. But eventually I found just some things that just didn't make sense. Islam did not have a strong connection to Judaic theology as I thought it did, or Christianity, and it couldn't hold on to the basis. So I returned to the Catholic Church and brought a lot of the Islamic teachings, such as study, independent thought, and everything, and I started looking at some of the teachings. And most of the teachings of the Catholic Church I do agree with, even though anything that has to do with sexuality I disagree with the Church on. Mainly I don't have a problem with contraceptives, homosexuals, or sex before marriage, or understanding of just sex in general. But that's a whole different video in itself, which requires more explanation. But I found this one website created by a British man named Stephen Lovett, and what he does is he brings back philosophy into Catholicism. He goes back to traditional Catholicism, not the conservative Catholicism, which was what I believe Christ created. It goes back into thinking, it's like, let's have reason. What was the time set of that, and when that book was made? What was going on? What was the culture? What was the original language? What was it meant to say? And also, does it really apply to today? And it has to go through this mind. It's like, one thing that I can't stand is just apathy and just blind faith. How people are like, oh, it's in the Bible, but most people can argue in the Bible that it says one way or the other, and they have no other proof. And that is one reason why I just rejected evangelical in one way. There's like, they say, oh, the Holy Spirit will guide you, but you talk to a Baptist, you talk to a Methodist, and they all say different things, but on the basis like, oh, the Holy Spirit. So who's the Holy Spirit talking to? While Catholics and Orthodox have tradition and reason to help back up their claims, which is one thing that I am so glad for, and has brought so much peace and understanding to my mind. So, if you have any more questions about my beliefs or anything like that, just ask me. Until then, peace be with you, and I hope you have a great day.